So what drove this guy to kill a member of his favorite heavy metal band? Now the guy's nickname is Crazy Nate, and Crazy Nate, he's about 23 years old when this story starts, and he's living in Marysville, Ohio, and Crazy Nate, he has a problem. He has mental health issues, and he suffers from a lot of delusions. But there's one thing that consistently makes him happy. The heavy metal band Pantera. I mean, he's been listening to them for years. He is obsessed. But at some point, his delusions start making his love for the band very messy. Like one day, Crazy Nate is at his friend's house and he says to his friend, "Hey, can I share these songs I wrote with you to see if you think they're any good?" And he shares the lyrics with him. And when his friend reads these lyrics, he's like, these are Pantera songs. And so from here, Nate ends up convincing himself that Pantera is somehow stealing songs that he wrote and taking credit for them, and he gets really mad, and he starts declaring that he's gonna sue the band. But it doesn't stop there. Not long after thinking they're stealing his music, he starts to believe that they're actively stalking him somehow and reading his thoughts and attempting to steal his identity. And little by little, his friends slowly start to distance themselves from him, as Crazy Nate is apparently getting a little too crazy for them. Then, one day in 2002, he gets an opportunity to turn things around for himself, because that is when he joins the Marines. And, he does all right in the military. He becomes an automotive mechanic, he gets promoted to Lance Corporal, which is still a low rank, but, it's something. But then his behavior starts getting a bit erratic. He's spending a lot of his free time in the rec center talking and whispering and arguing with himself. So in 2003, the Marines send him to get a psych evaluation, and the doctor determines that he's paranoid schizophrenic, and the military ultimately discharges him. And that really sucks for him. However, now that he's been formally diagnosed, he's prescribed antipsychotic medication, and the meds should end up helping him. The problem is, he doesn't stick with his meds, so he actually doesn't get better. But then, that same year, out of nowhere, something terrible happens. Something that Nate never thought was possible. His favorite band in the world, Pantera, breaks up. And this is a canon event for him. I mean, he thought they were stealing his songs, so his feelings toward them had gotten very complicated over the years, but them breaking up hit him right in the feels. It almost feels like a betrayal. And he gets super pissed off, and he looks for someone, anyone, to blame. And the person he ends up blaming is this guy, Dimebag Darrell. Dimebag Darrell is the guitarist of Pantera. So Nate ends up hating Dimebag Darrell. It's actually speculated, and this is speculation, that he views him as a traitor, that he broke up his favorite band and stole his songs from him. That same year, 2003, Dimebag Darrell and his brother, who's also a member of Pantera, they split off and they start a new band called Damage Plan. And Damage Plan is brand new, so it's not as popular as Pantera, but they're getting some traction, like they're touring and doing some live shows, and in 2004, they put out an album. And to Nate, the fact that Dimebag started a new group becomes proof that he has destroyed his favorite band. And this pushes him over the edge. And he decides he's gonna get revenge. And one day in 2004, he sees an opportunity. Because he learns that Damage Plan is on tour, and that they're going to be playing a show near him in Cincinnati, and he wants to go pay them a little visit and let them know how he feels. So the night of the show, he shows up to this small venue that they're performing at, and the band is on stage playing their ass off. And that is when Nate just snaps, and he flies into a rage. And it's not a big show, so he's able to jump on the stage, and he starts smashing lighting rigs and stage equipment, just trying to cause as much chaos as possible. And pretty quickly, security jumps on stage, and they grab him, and he's a big dude, so it's kind of a struggle, but ultimately they're able to pull him off stage. Here's the thing, though. They're a heavy metal band. So they're used to chaos at their shows. I mean, they're not even fazed by this. After Nate gets dragged off, one of the band members even jokes to the crowd like, I'd like to introduce you to the fifth member of the band. And everyone just laughs it off, and the show continues on. The band members don't even press charges or file any formal complaints about the busted equipment. That's how unfazed they are. Meanwhile, Nate, he goes back home, and his feelings about Damage Plan and Dimebag Darrell haven't changed. If anything, this whole incident makes him even more upset and even more determined to get revenge. And this is when he decides that the only way he can truly get revenge is to kill Dimebag Darrell. So, 8 months after Cincinnati, Nate learns that Damage Plan is playing another show near him in Columbus. And this is the opportunity he's been waiting for. So, it's the night of the show, and Nate drives out to the venue. But instead of going in to see the opening acts, he just stays in the parking lot, loitering around the band's tour bus, all pissed off. And after a while, some of the security staff notices him hanging out outside, acting weird, and they approach him and they tell him he's gotta leave. But of course, he doesn't leave. Instead of buying a ticket, he actually tries to hop the fence of the venue. But Nate is a big dude, and he's having trouble getting over it. But then, some other concert goers see him, and they actually help him try and get over it. I guess they just think it's funny that some big dude is trying to sneak into the show for free. But, as Nate's getting over, one of the bouncers sees him, and he starts running at him, yelling, "No way! No way!" And so Nate runs right past the guy, doesn't even slow down, and he runs inside a side entrance. So now, the staff is chasing after him. But the music is so loud there, and the place is so crowded and chaotic, they don't catch Nate. Meanwhile, he keeps running toward the stage where Damage Plan is now playing their opening song. And he's still determined to get his revenge. So he gets on stage while Damage Plan is playing, and the crowd sees him. And they don't think much of it. They probably just think that he's just on the stage because he wants to stage dive. And the band, they don't really notice him either, especially Dimebag Darrell, who's there just headbanging and playing on his guitar. And that is when Nate pulls out a gun that he brought, and he points it right at Dimebag. Then, blam, 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 he starts shooting him, and Dimebag goes down. And this, unfortunately, kills him. And some of the crowd panics, but a lot of them think this is part of the show. Then one of Damage Plan's security guards sees what's going on, and he acts fast, trying to stop Nate from hurting anyone else. But, blam, Nate shoots him and kills him too. Then a fan sees that security guard go down, and he quickly tries to help him with CPR, and tries to help Dimebag Darrell. But, blam, Nate shoots him and kills him as well. After that, one of the venue's staff members tries to intervene, and blam, he shoots and kills him too. Then Nate grabs another person, a drum tech, and he puts him in a headlock, and he takes him backstage as his hostage. But pretty quickly, police show up, and the first officer runs backstage, and he's got a shotgun. And blam! He shoots Crazy Nate, and this kills him instantly.